I'll get Mel to show you where the toilets are just around the corner, just in case.
Yeah, no, we're ringing.
Bye. So no, it's wonderful. So what I thought we'd do, we'd just going to be in the main foyer area, and then I'll show you around a bit later. But I thought if you could make yourself comfortable, use the amenities just around the corner, have a bit of a relax, get some coffee or tea, have some lunch, and wander around. I'll tell you tall tales but true. And then we'll have an afternoon tea, and then you'll wander back up to Sydney. So if that all work. Tall people in the front. Okay.
Definitely make sure at the back wall.
Oh, that's right. The short people. And tea maker and that, so if people want to put in their orders to Mel, we can organise that. And other than that, settle in and enjoy your day.
Thank you. Yes.
It's good. It's good. So are you all, which part of Sydney are you from?
Very Sutherland. Main.
Sutherland?
Very Sutherland. Mainly north.
Not sure.
I think.
And
To your home, to your personal home. Some people go into independent living, which is sort of where there's a lot more support for your dwelling there. And then again, they can bring services to them. And then if you're having difficulty in just managing physically, or we have some residents who just don't like the isolation of living by themselves, and then they might come to a facility here. And this facility is 5 years old. And what they tend to do is they try and break the facilities into what's called a household model. So there's 5 communities. Bass, Illawarra, Bass is downstairs, Illawarra and Gunatillake is on the first floor, and then Saddleback and Tasman is on the second floor. And so there's 20 each to a household, and you try and have the same staff. It's about your routines, what makes you happy. So if you want to sleep in the morning, you sleep in the morning. For a late breakfast, you have a late breakfast. We haven't changed it. Some aged care sort of, which is their home, they might decide to have a hot meal at night, but often they tend to have a hot meal at lunch and then a snack at night. Some other places have a hot meal at night. It really depends on the households as to how they determine that. And really, we're not the boss, you're the boss. You basically let us know what you want, and we're really your guests in your home here. So this is people's homes, and you might see a few of them come down. They're curious. They say, "All these people come from Sydney. Why are they coming here?" I said, "Because it's a great place."
something has happened.
I think it's a nice combination on like a bit of a day trip. It's nice coming down on the coast. We have to go over now there.
I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning doing this.
3 o'clock morning.
Yeah, only joking.
That's Steve. Harold, that's Steve.
Harold.
Steve,
Yeah,
hi.
that's
Hi, Steve. I'm Harold.
Harold.
How are you?
Harold been to be Silva. I know Harold been to be Silva.
Who? Aravind. Cricketer.
Yeah, it's Steve the bowler, wasn't it?
Yeah, he plays cricket.
Famous cricketer.
Yeah.
As cultural communities, as we age, and how do we manage that ageing process that we have the greatest control over our own lives. Most of us have come as first generation, so I came in 1964 from a Dutch community, and when I came, and for a lot of other cultural groups when we came, we were our own social networks. We set up our own clubs, we had our own social support. Although the government welcomed us, it did not necessarily have the resources to cater to all our needs because there were so many people coming, particularly after World War II. A lot of us were displaced, and also a lot of us come from cultures where we are used to providing for each other, and often that is us as children looking after our elders. But when we come to a country, we find our children have, to a degree, assimilated into the country. And not only that, the mere fact of being able to buy a house, to get ahead in a career, to move around frequently, requires your son-in-law or daughter-in-law to both work. So all of a sudden, where people thought there was an opportunity for someone to look after you, that's not as freely available. And often the social clubs that were around when we first came to this country, many of them have fragmented. So a lot of the clubs, because the children don't need to go to that anymore because they feel quite comfortable into their new country, being Australian. So the challenge is, in a sense, that there's a large group of us ageing. Not many of us are in a concentrated area in the community. We're all spread to the winds of the community. And so that is quite similar that when we come into aged care, or we try to access aged care services, we don't find that there are a lot of other people from our cultural background nearby. When we get particularly old, the biggest problem is that we tend to revert back to our primary language. Many of our people in our communities have never had a good command of English anyway, and that diminishes over time. So then they become more isolated. The big advantage, though, is that there's a recognition by government, there's recognition by Uniting Care that we need to do something about that. So there's two elements in for the government, is that it looks at consumer-directed care. And so what they're doing with consumer-directed care is that they will do an assets test and they will determine how much money they will supplement you to support you in your old age, particularly in your home. And there's a co-payment, and that's based on an asset test through Centrelink. The important aspect of that is that from early next year, that is deregulated further, so that you are like a budget holder. So have you heard about the National Disability Insurance Scheme, the NDIS? That's where the parents of children who have disabilities control the budget. You make a choice of where you spend. Often through a third party that assists you to doing it, but you have a choice. So you can arrange a whole range of home care services or other services to support you based on what is important to you. So if you look at three elements of care, that's home care, that's independent living, so that is more supported care, and you can also have services coming to independent living. And if you need more complex care, you can come into aged care, such as here. The question was asked to me, how did Eleanora end up having so many Spanish-speaking residents? And particularly when we set up Eleanora as a Mediterranean-speaking community. And what the Spanish community did locally, they decided with a new service that they would encourage their elders to make a choice of Eleanora to come, to purposefully create a Spanish community. They've, to a degree, achieved that. About 20% of our population here are Spanish speaking. They have a good support through both Salco, particularly, and another organisation by CAPA, which are the cultural advocacy group for the Spanish speaking people. The Sri Lankan community has